3.
Outpost.
The headphones feel very professional.
Yeah.
Except I can hear the way that I'm talking so loud.
Yeah, you got to keep your range closer.
Yeah.
And all of you guys got a headphone adjustment
Yeah.
if you need it.
Volume.
Yep.
Mine's pretty good.
I can't tell if Luke put like sexy guy presets on his voice or if he just sounds like that.
No, I was actually sounding like, oh, it's kind of raspy.
Exactly.
He's going for that late night radio show host.
Yeah, as soon as I take the glasses off, it's, hey guys, how are you?
Hey, yeah, the glasses do wonders.
Podcasting.
Podcast.
We need to get
Yeah.
some glasses. I feel kind of left out over here.
Yeah, we can trade them around if you want. If that helps
take
it.
turns.
It's the only thing that helps us stand out as cool next to you guys.
Okay.
You know, your cool factor like emanates pure aura. So
Appreciate that.
that's why we're super stoked to have you here and just hang out and talk and have you on the pod.
Yeah, man, this is exciting.
Sweet.
Yeah,
thank
this
you
is
guys.
fun. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming.
Mm-hmm.
So the Wildmans, that's the band name. That's the family name.
It's the band name. It's the family name. Yeah.
And it also is a vibe. It's
Yeah.
it's like an
It's
energy.
a vibe.
Totally.
It is a vibe.
Many people have been named a Wildman here and there. Yeah.
Many people might
these
be
are the
a
best
wild
ones.
man.
That's true.
You guys ever riff off that name on stage and say, you know, one time we just got too rowdy and everybody said, whoa, too wild, man.
Yeah, that's a
Too
good one.
wild. That's a good one. I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
People ask us if we live up to our name, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't really think that, well, I think in ways we do, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, you're just getting
Definitely.
started, but you've been doing it your whole lives. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like, it's interesting because I was telling our friend who was on the podcast, Sam Calhoun, you might know him, that you guys were coming on. He's promoter of FloydFest and CEO of Cross the Way. And so he does all the booking there and stuff. And he sent me this picture of you guys while you were busking.
At
Floyd
Oh,
Fest.
sweet. Totally. Okay.
And I didn't realize that the story went that deep. But I want to pull it up and show you.
I
Yeah,
was going
I
to
mean-
say, I know you guys from way back when.
Yeah.
I can't even remember, actually.
You guys see that?
Yeah.
You know that one?
But it was
Tiny,
like,
tiny.
yeah. Oh, yeah. That era.
How old are you
Awesome.
guys there?
What, like?
6 or 7 for me.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
8 or 9 probably for
Yeah.
me.
So good.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how deep does this go? When does the story start? Between when did you two know you wanted to make music together forever?
Well, pretty early on, I guess. I mean, we started playing, I was 5, and Eli, I think, was 7,
7?
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And
kind
it
of
pretty much since then, I mean, it just was natural. Like, we homeschooled also and, like, focused on music and stuff. And, you know, we were both in the house practicing all the time. So it was only natural that, well, practicing all the time, I say loosely. But
Practice
yeah,
or
I think
play.
it was only
Yeah,
natural,
yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, we saw the Friday Night Jamboree growing up in the country store here, and there's all this music in Floyd that just kind of like looked like fun. We wanted to do that, and we got to go to FloydFest growing up too. So being in that environment,
Yeah.
yeah, FloydFest was always super inspiring. I think I've gone as long as I can remember, and then not for a couple of years now, but pretty much our whole childhood. We grew up there. We met a lot of musicians there, and I guess that definitely inspired us growing up.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially once we started playing, and then we were busking, and we figured out we could open up our case and be cute and like play a fiddle tune, and people would give us money.
Yeah.
That was inspiring for sure.
What were you guys saving up for when you were busking that early on?
Probably something cool from the vendors.
Yeah, totally. Some
That's
tie
okay.
I
dye.
can't remember spending it on much else.
Yeah, the rock climbing wall was pretty.
Yeah, the
sweet.
rock climbing wall for sure.
man.
Yeah, Floyd Fest.
Yeah,
You guys had goals early
Yeah.
on.
The Gator burritos for me, I think they were like $20 a pop, and I would get like
Yeah.
7 of them throughout the
The
festival.
Outback
Right?
Gates for
Exactly,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah. I know, and they're so expensive, so you really had to save up for them.
we really had to save it.
So did you always, was fiddle your first instrument and that's what you've stuck with?
Fiddle was my first
Yeah.
instrument, that and voice, and I haven't branched out a ton. I'm sorry to say for myself.
Not everybody has to be like multi-instrumentalist. I know
Yeah.
a few, and then there's some people you just find what you stick with. And feel
I've been
good about
trying to
that.
learn guitar.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, I can play some other instruments, but it's just not to like a proficient level.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to do that with guitar, but yeah, I need to be more consistent.
Same.
And you started on mandolin,
Yeah,
right? Or did you start on guitar?
Mandolin was like, I actually started on guitar, but mandolin was more, it was my size. I didn't really even know what it was, but the guitar was big and it hurt my fingers. I was like 7 years old and somebody said, yeah, you should play mandolin. And
Yeah, dude. I mean, starting that young, it's a legitimate problem trying to play a big guitar.
yeah, and I even had a smaller one, but it was still big. And I remember hearing David Grisman and Sam Bush. And
Yeah.
I didn't even know what it looked like, but I was hearing the music and I was like, yeah, that's cool. I could do that.
Yeah.
So I did mandolin for most of my years, and then more recently have come back to guitar and been playing that.
I feel like I saw you play electric guitar on a couple of shows as well. Like you brought that out for a while, right?
I've been experimenting with the electric guitar a bit.
Yeah.
With our new record, there's electric guitar on it and stuff, and it's just kind of been fitting the songs we've been writing to and stuff. So yeah, it's been fun.
Nice.
Branch out.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I really like the record that you guys have up online right now. I was listening to it all. I think I listened to everything you had today and yesterday just to get excited and hear the stories that you've been telling. And hearing that you got a new record coming out.
Yeah, we're
Sounds
stoked.
like a little different take than usual. Are you kind of pushing it in a different direction with some new instrumentation, electric guitar?
Yeah, I mean, our last album that we did, I was 16 when we recorded it, and I mean, I guess Eli was like 19 or something.
Yeah, so
18,
6 years ago.
18 or 19. So it was a really long time ago, and it was like pre-college for us too. So I guess things naturally grow and change and evolve.
That was kind of
for
our
but-
first experimenting with drums. So like
Yeah.
half the record has drums on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really fun. We didn't really play with a drummer live at all. So Nick Falk produced it and he played the drums on it. And that was kind of like an exciting taste of something a little outside of the like acoustic music world, for sure.
Nice.
And then I think going to school and at Berklee in Boston, Berklee School of Music, just kind of opened us up, and meeting met Max, and immediately Max was interested in old time music and blending that with percussion in different ways. And
Max, did you go to Berklee as well?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, I met these
Yeah.
guys there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What was that like meeting these guys? Where did you find them? Were they busking?
Isla and I met it was like lockdown semester, COVID lockdown semester. So a Zoom class, a 3-hour English Zoom class.
Yeah,
from
an
6
English
to 9
lit
p.m.
class.
And yeah, we just like when we went back in person, excuse me, when class went back in person, we started hanging out in real life. And
IRL.
IRL.
yeah, and then I met Eli, and so that was and then I came back to Floyd eventually the first summer break that we had, and just kept coming back. And I mean, we were always like hanging out a lot more before I started playing with you guys, and that just kind of happened gradually, just kind of like phasing the drums in. And yeah, I mean, I honestly didn't know anything about fiddle music, mountain Appalachian music, like before these guys, so that was I mean, they put me onto it. And
Max had a house in Alston, which is outside Boston, and he would host shows there, like just for fun for college students, like DIY.
House shows.
And I think those are some of the first times we played with Max, and
right, yeah,
it was like we were just like, yeah, let's just try this, and it was kind of like electrifying some old time stuff that we hadn't really done too much, but it's also like experimenting with just like a full like college audience that's there to like throw down and have fun.
yeah,
Nice.
Yeah, no listening room vibes, you know.
yeah.
Like bouncing the floor. So the drums,
Yeah, so
having
there was
drums
no
and,
like, should there be drums with this kind of music or not? It was just like,
it was like, well, if we're
We're
gonna
here
do
to
this
party and-
this kind of show, it's
so
gonna work out with drums. Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was like a funny thing too, because like like bluegrass or old time, like mountain music, obviously is not something that's like so widely popular, especially in like a city like Boston. But it's like everybody, so like all these, like cool college students, like super into like Western style, like with all their cowboy boots on and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And like
Yeah.
they like came to our
Boho.
house show and they're like, oh, like what is this music? It just makes me want to like move my feet.
Yeah, people just
you
start
know?
moving, and
It's like they don't even know, but like that's where it all comes from.
Yeah, totally.
That's so rad.
Man, movement with music's always been a big part of it for me. So I've also really enjoyed, similar to what you're doing, which is acoustic, and it is more of like a listening room vibe. So you feel like with the drums now, you guys can kind of bridge the two of them together more?
Yeah, we've been like playing recently with drums and electric bass and sometimes
Yeah.
electric guitar, and kind of choosing to go for standing room opposed to sitting.
Yeah.
And it's a nice feel, like for I think us on stage too, just to have the audience
Yeah.
that like audience can move. It's kind of hard to move in your seat sometimes,
Yeah.
at least in comparison.
definitely.
So yeah, it just kind of felt nice, and yeah, more movement.
I think it's nice when the audience is like having fun with you. It's like the listening room vibe can be cool, but if everybody's just sitting in their chair, kind of not having any energy, it's hard to like have anything to draw from, I
Yeah.
think. So I feel like I've more recently kind of like shied away from that type of thing because, not much to work with, I guess, sometimes.
Yeah, well, and you can like look around the room and see people really enjoying it. But
Yeah.
having, if your volume's a little bit louder and the crowd can, like whoop and interact and stuff, that just like
It's fun to
sets it
have
off.
fun.
Exactly.
Fun to have
Yeah.
fun, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
What are some of the most fun shows you've had recently? Are they all
question.
on the same list or different experiences for you?
Probably different for us.
Trying
I
to
mean,
think.
I had a lot of fun the last show we played, which was the first
Yeah.
show of the new year in Abingdon, Virginia. We got to play in a really beautiful theater, which we don't get to all the time, and so it's a really nice stage and big theater. And even though it was seated, it was like couldn't see the audience anyways. It was bright lights, and it was just fun to play. I played electric guitar, which was kind of different, and we got to do some newer stuff, which was fun. Yeah.
Good acoustics, probably just like a really nice
Yeah.
Yeah.
stage
Yeah.
to play.
The sound was just really, really nice, and the room felt really good. So
That's cool.
Yeah. I'd say that was probably my favorite more recent show that we've done. And we got to play with our friend PJ George on bass, which was super
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah, that was the first show that I played with him and you guys, but maybe
Yeah.
he's played with you before.
I think we did. We got to do one show with
Oh,
PJ
yeah, yeah,
A
like
while ago, maybe.
Mhm.
a while ago at the country store actually in Floyd.
Nice.
Yeah, PJ's kind of local. He grew up in Salem, I think, Roanoke,
Nice.
around Salem and Roanoke. So it's been cool to connect with PJ a bit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you guys play a lot of 3-piece gigs, or do you have bass players often and expand out from there?
I mean, we always want bass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's just like when we can't get bass, we'll play a 3-piece gig, or, when it doesn't like necessarily make sense to have a fourth person, like economically or whatever for the gig.
Yeah.
But it's always more fun with the fourth member. I guess this summer we played a lot of shows where we actually had 2 guitars, which is like
Nice.
what we did in Floyd at the small town summer thing.
Yeah.
Right, 2 guitars and no bass. So we did that.
Yeah, but at some point we definitely realized that the bass really like fills it out, and there was always something a little bit missing, like from the like sonically, the sonic range or whatever, not having bass.
Yeah.
It felt like
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Gotta have that low end.
Yeah, gotta have that
Yo.
low end, gotta have
Yeah.
that funk.
You'll hear it, you feel it,
And it's amazing how much bass can add to it. Even like it plays with the vocals. That's what the big thing that I've always picked out with bass is like it having the bass often can enhance the vocals substantially just by having like a foundation for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It fills out so much. That's something interesting too. Like PJ played electric bass, which
Nice.
I think he did that last time, but we've also mostly had upright bass, the electric bass really fills it out in a different way, which is cool. It's fun to have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how are you guys doing a lot of long distance gigs, driving and on the road a whole lot, or are you keeping it pretty local, or like what's your road time right now?
We had a pretty chill 2024. It was kind of a season of we recorded a new record in the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And we got to go to this amazing studio in Woodstock, New York, and it was kind of like our dream, like ideal experience. We had a bunch of guest artists on it and had like full band with like organ and piano on some tracks and just like really do it right. And so we were kind of into this new sound with the record, and so we were kind of a lot of the summer just pitching that record and seeing what might happen with a record label or something. And so we had a lot of time off too, which was kind of nice. We did some gigs and some tours, but
yeah, time away from playing a whole lot often can give you room to like try new stuff and write some more things and get more creative.
Yeah.
totally.
We really went hard on like the social media grind this summer, and it definitely became like our job just because we weren't like booked out with a ton of gigs, which I mean ended up being really, really beneficial. I think it's like something that we had like shied away from doing for a long time just because like I guess, you know, like being an artist and being creative, sometimes it can be really hard to like want to buckle down and like do the social media job and like actually
definitely a job.
It is a job, and it takes a lot of like thought and stuff and
A lot of
your
attention.
Yeah, and just having to actually be on social media that much too kind of, you know, just plays a different role in your life and stuff. And yeah, for a long time I definitely shied away from that with the band and was like, oh, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to, you know, spend all my time doing that, be one of those people. But as soon as we started doing it, it did make a massive difference, you know. Yeah. So,
I mean, that's how I saw you guys pop up before I knew you were around. And then I realized, holy shit, they're in Floyd?
Yeah.
So I reached out to Eli. I was like, are you guys here or what? Like,
yeah,
exactly.
I
thought you were touring through and maybe you were somewhere far away and way more hip, but... Turned out you were here.
This is more hip. We're out here in the country.
I was going to say Floyd's the hip place to be, man.
No, it's not. Though. Don't come here.
Yeah, don't come here.
Yeah, it sucks here.
No, that's so cool though. I mean, you were on the phone. You didn't expect. I mean, you probably expected something to happen, but
we hoped it would.
It seems like you're getting really strong, positive responses.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's funny because like the first video of ours that kind of like blew up per se. I mean, whatever. There's different, you know, standards for that. But for us, we were like, wow. It was like a video that I was like, damn, if I had known that it was gonna get so many views, I would have like done it a couple more times and like gotten a little bit of a better take. You know, like.
But sometimes that's like the magic of it.
Yeah.
Like,
I think for me, it's like that's one of the reasons it's still fun is because like. We started doing them, like the first handful were just like a couple takes, whatever, let's put it up. It doesn't really matter. And they did get attention. So now like we still like do enough takes and we get a good take, but it's not like, it doesn't feel like pressure because since it started blowing up, it's just been kind of like, okay, we'll do our best and just that's what it is.
Yeah. I think people have a great bullshit meter of like if it's too perfect, they can tell it's like the 17th take. I like it when it's more raw and like I kind of want to like see that it's real.
I think that is the appeal of making the videos in the style of what we do it. It's like people really just want to feel like we just sat down, recorded it once and like went on with our day, which isn't like so far from the truth, you know.
Far off.
But it's like the low effort thing, like the simplicity.
Low effort, high skill.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I've definitely posted low effort videos of me playing guitar that don't get any views. So, you know, you have to have something magic that goes with it.
Yeah, I've also done the low effort, low skill. And 200 views.
Yeah. Right. No, your views are well deserved and the effort is real. I mean, I know making videos for a living that even just making a social media video and having to put it out there and see how, if you get a lot of attention on it, then it puts a lot of, you have to focus on that to kind of check in with people and respond. And then, you know, the scale gets bigger as you grow. Then what used to be a blow up video is now, I don't know, maybe not as high performing as what blew up in the first place, but it's still a lot of eyes, a lot of ears, and
Totally.
you're consistent. So, you know, I've been following you now for a few months, and it seems like you're putting a lot of stuff up.
Yeah, it's been harder in the winter.
Yeah.
A big part of it was like we were just doing it, and we live in Floyd is beautiful, and our parents have a bunch of property. It's like really beautiful little like holler down there with a creek and a pond, and so there's all these just nice places to set up and play music, and so that was kind of part of the theme. And it's cold and winter and wet or snowy, and so it's been a little harder to do that same get that same feeling anyways.
Yeah, I feel like part of the brand is definitely that we like make the videos outside, you know?
Oh, the trickle of a creek is way better sound
Yeah.
than cold winter wind.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a little less now, but I mean, like today it's like 55 degrees. So nice.
Beautiful.
Did you get out there today and record something?
We did one the other day.
Yeah, we
and
did one on Tuesday, I think.
I think it's going to be like 65, 62 degrees next week.
Yeah, we're always checking the weather. Seeing, can we make a video next week?
Yeah.
So, Max, do you live around this area as well? Or
Yeah, I'm staying at their place now.
Nice. Awesome.
I finished Berklee in this past May, and Aila did like a year ago, basically, and Eli did before that, but we all just stayed in Boston until last May, and then just moved out of Boston and came down here because, by that time it was like, okay, Max is pretty much in the band, so might as well just come with us.
Come
More
hang
than
out.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been here. My parents are in Michigan. I'm pretty much from Michigan, and I've been back and forth from there a couple of times, but mostly here
Yeah.
since May.
And we all got to go up there to Max's place in Michigan. Was that 2 years ago now? Or last 2 years
Two
ago?
summers.
yeah.
Yeah.
2 summers ago anyways. But it's beautiful up there, and we got to film some videos and take some photos. We went out on the dunes on Lake Michigan. It's like, looks like another world, and took some fun photos.
Some album covers?
Potentially.
For the new one?
Possibly, yeah.
Potentially,
Nice.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you guys what your studio method is. Do you come into the studio with strong ideas on the songs and everything's hashed out, or you just show up with zero or like scratch notes, or like what's your process?
Well,
Studio time is expensive.
it's expensive.
Yeah,
this
it definitely
last-
that's a big factor.
Yeah. The album that we just recorded, we had actually already recorded it, which is kind of
I mean,
the
roughly.
tea about it. Yeah, we recorded a version of this album in the winter of 2023.
Like beyond demo, like actually
Yeah,
hashing
no.
out all the parts and everything?
We thought we were going
We
to
mixed
release
and
it
mastered
at the
it.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for this album in particular, it was kind of like we were remaking it.
Yeah.
So everything was set in stone. I mean, I would love.
You just wanted to like bring it up like one more step from it? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
so
had some.
we've
Like band member changes. So you know.
and it was a small like 1-room studio, and it was cool. Like we made it work. And
Yeah.
I think we made it sound pretty good.
Yeah.
But getting to go to this like full-blown studio with like all the vintage gear, and just like
Yeah.
we got to spend a week there recording it. And
Nice.
we had some guests. I think the guests thing was kind of a little bit on the fly.
Yeah.
We knew like Dory Freeman specifically. She's an amazing singer and songwriter. We were like, let's get Dory to come, and she's just gonna sing on whatever works.
Yeah.
And that it's like, all right, this sounds like Dory should sing on this. Let's do it.
That's cool, because that's the whole thing about having guests on you. Like, you don't want that too formulaic and locked in. You want to
Yeah.
like bring in what they have to bring to it and kind of move with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
And I mean, it would be really fun to like get to go to a studio with just like raw song ideas and like develop it from there.
Yeah, but it's
But
not
I guess it's not
1969.
the 70s anymore. Yeah, like
It was kind of impressive how quickly we did 12 songs in what, 5
5
days?
days. Yeah.
12 songs in
So
5 days.
Dude, that's impressive.
I mean, it felt like it's a cool vibe because you can stay at the studio. There's like a little apartment attached. So we were just like, in there all day, every day into the night. And it was the middle of February up in Woodstock. So it's just like cold outside. It was really cozy. And we just kind of grinded right through it. And
Dude, the vibe of the studio has a substantial like influence on the album. Like,
Totally.
Yeah.
like yes, all the vintage gear and all the like, just that like final couple percentage of everything sounding awesome.
Yeah.
But then just the vibe too. I'm sure the one room studio was awesome, but
Yeah.
I've got the gear to do almost what most studios can do myself, but it's not until I'm in the studio that I'm feeling the vibe and like actually, it's like it's like the energy is just kind of buzzing and so much more comes out.
No, the vibes are important.
Yeah,
I
you
feel
guys
like-
get it in here.
Yeah,
You got
for
the
sure.
You guys like the vibe in here?
this is good.
man.
This is
Vibe
good.
working?
Yeah, totally.
As much like slabs and raw wood.
Yeah.
Like the
Cheese and
exposed
meats.
beams and the heady mugs. I like.
Yeah.
Eli, I'm trying to remember.
Jim Scott.
Yeah, Jim Scott. Well, so our van alarm is going off because a loud car drove by.
I think
That's
we're
a good thing.
Yeah, it's
But-
a little too sensitive, but
You want that.
What I was gonna
An
say
alarm.
though about the studio vibes is I guess through our manager we got to visit this studio out in outside of LA. This guy Jim Scott, and I feel like Eli, you were telling me that he also one of the things that he does is vibe curation in a studio. Basically.
yeah. So he engineered Tom Petty
Yeah.
Wildflowers. He's been around, and a big part of his intro into the music studio scene was he'd be in these studios with LED lights, and he because he knew he had friends and he played music too in the 70s, and he was like, guys, we need some vibe in here. And so it was his thing to bring the soft lights and just to make it a nice vibe in the studio.
That's awesome. Yeah, lighting is crazy influential on how you feel. Like if it's bright and artificial lighting, or if it's got a nice thing.
Mm-hmm.
With this podcast studio, I know we got to have bright lights to make the cameras look good, but we still try and add accents, and Dan's the master with that.
Yeah, it's nice bright
not too
light,
bright.
though.
We need to get
It's
some
not-
groovy glasses, and then it'll really feel
It took,
Nice and
it took me
colorful.
like 20 podcasts to bring out the cool
Right.
glasses, the dorky glasses.
For next time. I should have put that in the text when I told you guys,
Yeah.
bring some cool glasses.
Hell
It's
yeah.
okay.
thought
I have
about
a
it.
scarf. I have some one accessory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys got the cool factor for sure.
But this studio in Woodstock, it felt kind of like a destination
Yeah.
recording
Oh, it
as
was
well.
so sick.
We were living in Boston at the time, and so we got to drive out into the country. I mean, Woodstock's a pretty small town, kind of like Floyd actually, and stay in this studio. There's a little stream running right behind it. It's on a farm. It's just
Nice.
Little critters swimming in the stream. You can watch them from inside the house, and
Get some inspiration.
yeah.
it was a nice vibe. Yeah,
That's
I think
awesome.
I've recorded in studios before where there's no natural light.
I feel like most studios.
Yeah,
kind of
most
are.
studios, but this studio had this one really big window. Really big, whatever. It was west facing, so when the sun set, it would literally shine right through into the control booth and then into the main recording room.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really nice.
We got the
for
sunset
that,
every
yeah.
day
Nice.
over the little stream. Yeah.
That's good
Did
inspiration.
you guys write any songs while you were there that came up, or did anything come out of the ordinary other than just working on what was in front of you?
We got to play some cool instruments. Gary Waldman, our manager, is a bit of an instrument collector, and he lives in Woodstock. So, for example, I got to play Neil Cassell's guitar, a 50s Gibson. It was absolutely amazing.
Nice.
And it was kind of we were really focused on.
Yeah.
We had a lot to do in
Not
a
too much
small
time.
amount of time.
You understood the objective.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
to sing in some cool vintage microphones though, which I had a lot of fun with. But
Yeah, I feel like just getting to experiment a little bit in like a real professional studio setting was the creative side kind
That's
of.
awesome.
Did you guys self-produce your last album or work with a producer on it?
we had our buddy Nicholas Falk produce, and he actually lives in Galax, Virginia, so he's close by here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been on some big tours lately with like Camp and Some Buck. They're like side project of Camp.
Yeah, we
if you
got to
guys
see
know
them recently.
Yeah.
It's good. Kind of new band. I guess they, the side project's newer, but
What kind of music are you guys digging into these days? Like, what's inspiring behind the scenes? What's on your playlist?
Well, me and Aila were really heavy on the McGee. I don't know if you guys have heard of McGee, but he's a little bit niche, but not
He's
super
very
niche.
new.
He's
Okay,
blowing
yeah.
up. Yeah.
New indie
Shout out
guitar,
McGee.
pop,
Shout out McGee.
kind of moody 80s revival
Yeah.
in a way, but
like totally like, yeah, it feels very innovative, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that.
I mean, we were
Yeah.
listening to like, I don't know if we were trying to pick new reels or something. You guys were playing me some McGee, but then we put on some Madison Cunningham and like,
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's
There's honestly, like,
I've loved Madison
her,
Cunningham.
her
for a
guitar
long time.
playing, I heard like similarities to like
Right.
the McGee stuff. And
I
like,
agree.
Just how,
So as far as genres, is this all like acoustic instruments or is it just like wide open?
Electric, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean, what
pretty
we're
wide
talking
open.
about now.
Yeah.
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 It's kind of like Bon Iver or something, like
Yeah,
new
yeah.
Bon
Kind of
Iver.
like
Is that how you say
Yeah,
Bon
yeah.
Iver?
Bon
Bon
Iver
Iver.
or something, yeah.
It's kind of like that.
It's another
I'd say.
guy who like recorded in the woods.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
totally. Yeah,
Um,
McGee was heavy on my 2024 rotation.
I have
his
to
newest album.
I'll
so,
check it out.
Yeah.
Dang, McGee.
mk.gee.
I have
Okay,
to say,
cool.
Getting the full
Isla has
shout out.
been heavy on Central C lately.
I have an alter ego where I like British drill rap.
but it's good. It's good.
You gotta have the balance, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I think that's
I
why I wanted
like
to
it
know what's
all.
going on, what's on the shuffle.
Yeah.
What about
Yeah.
you? What's unlikely for
I've been like,
Mountain Music Man?
I mean, I've been really into the band recently.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me like,
The band.
do you
Old
like any
school.
current music? And I was like,
hard
I
to
kind of felt like I was put on the spot because I don't know. I feel like I've just been digging into like 70s and 60s music a whole
Yeah.
lot.
do it.
I
It's
feel
a
like in
deep pool
general-
to dive into. So
yeah.
In
Yeah.
general, we're always drawing from the 60s and 70s. I think in like broadly speaking, it's like the best era of music that's happened.
Oh man, I've been digging into like all the 70s
Yeah.
funk and all the
Oh,
like,
man.
there's
Yeah.
so much
So
gold
much.
there.
Yeah.
Parliament.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
that's why you got to get that bass because you want
Gotta
that
get that
70s
bass.
funk
Gotta
rock.
get that
Right.
bass.
Totally. Yeah. So the band's been huge inspiration recently.
Yeah.
I mean,
The band. We just did a little Instagram cover of The Wait by the band, and somebody commented, "Oh, this is the best cover I've heard of this song." Which, like, thank you very much, you know. But I was on Spotify, like, listening to the Aretha Franklin version, and I was like,
That shit
"Oh
was
man,
Maybe
like
haven't heard
it doesn't
one.
get better than this. Like, it's
Yeah.
better than the original, maybe."
Maybe. Yeah. It's a whole different thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, what an iconic band. They're so awesome.
yeah.
so awesome. And
The
Bob Dylan
band.
too.
Bob Dylan, yeah.
Yeah. I thought the biopic was pretty good.
Timothy
And-
Chalamet,
It's like, you know,
getting that Bob Dylan.
it's
yeah,
bringing so much
good.
attention to it. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could have been, yeah.
What
I
about
thought
you
it was
guys?
great.
You got any?
I I just listen to the Wildmans right now.
Yeah.
You know, just trying
Dedicated.
staying. Yeah,
Appreciate
no, all sorts of music. It's hard for me to narrow it down.
Totally.
Yeah.
Wouldn't even be worth throwing out too many bands, but something that's usually on my playlist is Andrew Bird.
Oh, I love Andrew
Yeah.
Bird.
I love the Fleet Foxes.
Yeah.
And Radiohead is like always in there.
Yeah.
I can't get enough of Radiohead.
Yeah.
Love Radiohead.
Love that.
And it's just like everything else.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to list too many. It's like, how many songs can you listen to when you're driving?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's like,
we get some long drives.
yeah.
It can be a lot.
You start to get back into the podcast. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Totally. It's like,
I love Andrew Bird though. I like discovered him. I feel like maybe when I was in early high school, and it was like definitely a very cool thing as like a vocalist and a violinist to like see someone else doing that.
Yeah.
And I don't really play and sing a lot, and he does that like amazingly. So
And whistles.
yeah, and whistles.
It's like,
And like does like weird percussion stuff on his violin. Or
yeah,
something.
he strums it really
Yeah,
well.
he strums it. Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like it's hard to ask. I was interested in what you guys are. I knew there would be something out of the ordinary, though.
Oh yeah, totally.
You got to have like that one kind of secret dirty pleasure music
Yeah. Central C.
I'm always kind of surprised, like,
Or,
when
like-
I'm
sorry.
learning songs. Like right now, I'm working on a Santana cover, and I'm always like,
Okay.
I've always been a
Nice.
Santana fan, but now that I'm learning it, I'm like, whoa, there's actually
Yeah,
a lot
right.
of stuff in here. It's always cool to
Yeah.
like kind of pick it apart and kind of put yourself in their shoes a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like I always feel that way anytime I learn like a Dead song,
Yeah,
because it's really easy to like listen to the Grateful Dead and feel like, oh man, like this is so simple what's going on. You like actually try to like delve into those like Jerry songs.
I've been there
specifically.
with that.
He has a lot. There's a lot of stuff going on.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It sounds, and I think that's where the magic is with them. They pull it off in a way that sounds so easy and
Yeah,
so flippant.
exactly.
The Beatles are a lot like that too.
Yeah.
Like every
Yeah,
time
right.
I'm trying to learn a Beatles song, I'm like, holy
No,
shit! Like,
they are
there's
so
so much in here.
complicated.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
that too. Recently, we were putting on a Revolver and Rubber Soul, and just like trying to, maybe it was just to like find a song to do a reel of or something. And I was
Yeah.
like, everybody talks about Ringo, obviously, but I was just like, I don't know. I gotta study that shit.
Yeah.
You know that's what
Ringo actually is crazy.
he's crazy, and it's
Talk about
so
somebody who
super
took a lot
dialed.
of shit that's
yeah,
undeserved.
I know.
Yeah.
And he's got
Yeah.
a cool new record actually, blending with some like acoustic artists. I like it.
Nice.
It's
Like
cool
Billy
to see.
Strings is on his record. That's
And-
pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
Molly
Shout out
Tuttle,
Billy
I think.
Yeah,
Spring.
Molly Tuttle.
Yeah.
Bluegrass, it's coming back.
Bluegrass meets the
Yeah,
Beatles.
Ringo does.
Bluegrass revival.
Yeah, no, it is
Yeah,
though.
totally.
It's like the country music revival going on right now. Like another one. I
Yeah.
feel
Yeah,
like anyways.
a little
And-
bit.
Or like folk. And I don't know, I feel like I witnessed some of that happening being at like a music school, and I was like, okay, this is really
Totally.
working out for us. Like
Yeah,
you know?
follows
Yeah.
it
So coming from
right
this
now.
small town, going to a school as prestigious in Berklee as you did, did you not expect, like, did you think it was going to be hard for your music to stand out, or did you think that you'd ever have to change the type of music or style that you were playing, or what was the journey like for you as musicians finding your voice?
Yeah, I mean, I think initially, and throwing it all the way back to FloydFest, we met musicians at FloydFest that were at Berklee and living in Boston, Nicholas Falk included. It just always seemed really accessible, and like those musicians were very cool to us. So we're like, oh, that'd be fun. And they have such a broad acoustic music scene there. It felt very inviting.
Yeah, like part of the reason we went to Berklee was because of like the Roots program that they have there, which is like the, like trad kind of mountain music stuff. I mean, that's where it all is rooted in with that program. But yeah, I mean, going to Berklee, it's like you are forced to play lots of different styles of music. And like that was never like a concern at all. I think naturally naturally for me anyways, that was always like an interest. Like, historically Berklee's been like a jazz school, and definitely do your time there like learning jazz. Like most people do that there. Most people who are like serious about it, I would say do that. And I started kind of getting into some of that stuff before I went, and like was into it a little bit, but then as I kind of got along in Berklee, I stopped being interested in playing jazz completely. Yeah.
Did you have some takeaways from it though that you've been taking from to feed your?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of overlap with like jazz and bluegrass, I would
Yeah.
say, and like the way that it's all about the solo, man.
I can see that. I mean,
Have
Chris
a ripping
Steele
solo.
is like
Yeah.
the perfect blend of the two, squashing them together.
Right.
Yeah, and like there's a lot of people out there now. And out there now who like very much jazz, bluegrass. There's a big overlap.
I mean, like
but-
dog music was
yeah,
a big
super jazz Gypsy
area I got to
jazz.
study, which is like, you know, kind of unique, just David Grisman's repertoire.
Yeah.
And I don't think I got to do much with Daryl Anger when he actually was there, but Daryl Anger played with David Grisman, and so
Yeah.
he was one of the teachers in the roots department there. So that's kind of like a direct, you know, link to that music. That's so, yeah, and like stuff Chris Thiele and the Punch Brothers and different acoustic musicians like incorporating this jazz
Man,
factor.
the Punch Brothers, they're such an awesome band. I think they're about the furthest into stretching it out that the like general public can handle, because they pull it off so well. But I always feel
Yeah.
like going into jazz is kind of like a bit of a drug of like you can go too far and too deep. sometimes.
Yeah.
Don't go full
Like you
jazz.
could dabble, and you got to pull it back
And
out
it's
again.
fun to dabble, and this is no like I'm not
You got to-
critiquing other people, but it's like I don't want to spend my life only playing musicians' music,
Yeah,
Right.
because that's what a lot of jazz tends to be.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I mean, at least like the really like in-depth heady. I mean,
Yeah.
you study some like microtonal stuff?
Yeah, I did
And-
like a microtonal ensemble, which was really
So
cool.
so explain microtonal.
So, I mean, it's basically just incorporating like Eastern music scales.
Breaking out of the 12 notes.
Yeah, into like Western music, jazz stuff.
So you
it
got
was like a
notes
microtonal
in
jazz
between the
band.
notes?
Which I guess
Yeah.
on fiddle is achievable versus like
Yeah.
a guitar or something.
Yeah, if you do it on guitar, you have to have like a microtonal fretted guitar, or just a fretless or whatever.
Is it a vocal thing you can do too?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like that's very Middle Eastern. And
I mean, actually, more like, well, I've heard people say that more of the music that exists in the world is like not, 12-note Western,
well,
whatever, 8-note scales.
And it comes into blues music, you know?
yeah.
Like,
And it-
Yeah.
And old time music is microtonal, guys. It really is.
Can you give us a sonic example of what you're talking about for people that don't understand?
Like sing it? I don't know.
Is that too much?
I could do it on my violin.
You could.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like, okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm barely
yeah.
smart enough for 12 notes,
Yeah.
so you're blowing my mind right now.
I know, right?
Yeah. I mean,
12.
I feel like the
there's
classic.
this thing with like the harmonic series. I know that's a very like heady thing that. But yeah, even scales that we have in Western music tend, like if you have a non-fretted instrument, they tend to be like more in line with the harmonic series. If it's a little flat in certain notes are a little flat. Here's the
Yeah, we're gonna need a
Okay,
sonic
I can
example
try
of
to
this.
do something.
So show us what we're talking about. The Western notes. Give us that first,
Little blues note.
and then it's in.
It's
It's not in
actually-
there.
it's on the
Do you
couch.
Do you want this bow too?
Oh no, I have another bow. Yeah, I'll like play some of an old time tune that I play. I guess you could say microtonally.
Yeah. They'll figure it out.
Yeah.
They'll hear it.
Okay. Let me think of one.
I feel like what is the classic? Go ahead.
What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, like, is Indian music pretty like stereotypically microtonal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like traditional. I mean,
Traditional
even like
Indian
modern Indian music is very. They have like
vocal.
very
Stuff.
different scales than we do.
So, can you just explain to the viewers what a microtone is? A scale.
It's basically, so in Western music, we have, like 8 notes or, 7 different notes per scale. And it's very specific. Like we have whole steps and half steps. And the way that I learned it, like coming from Western music being microtonal, is like you would have quarter steps or quarter notes. And we didn't get too much more than that, because there are scales that have, I don't know, something like 48 notes or whatever. I'm not good at math, so I don't know the exact numbers.
So a half step is typically one fret on a guitar.
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. That's a
and
better
then
way.
A whole would be two.
Yeah.
So when you're saying like a quarter step, it's kind of like between two notes on a fretted instrument.
Yes, exactly.
Which you can do on, you don't
can
have
do-
any frets.
You can do on a violin because you don't have frets. I'm gonna try to think of a tune that I play that I mess with some notes like that. So let me try to think of one. Do you know of any?
Does a spider shoe not do that?
I don't really think so. Yeah, so that's a good example in the B part of this tune called The Root. I play it like this. I don't, guess that maybe other people don't or do. Who knows? But so there's just like a couple notes in there that I'm like sliding around and like messing with, I guess. Like like that.
Oh.
Sounds pretty
I love it.
weird out of context. Yeah.
So
Just-
how would you play that with
Like that.
in a non-microtone, traditional Western music style? How would that be?
So like versus
I'm seeing
Nice.
you have to focus to play it straight.
exactly.
Yeah, it
Definitely
slows
train
down.
yourself.
And that's my truth that there's a lot of that in old time music. So
Yeah, and
it's hard to play it the other way.
It's cool. It's like a
Nice.
tension and release.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to play around with there.
Exactly.
and then there's the like when you're playing chords over it, because I don't really have that option, unless I'm bending a note. It's like like you said, either a whole step or a half step on the guitar.
Yeah. Is there any like how do you adjust for that? You do.
Well, like a lot of tunes like that one, there's minor notes and major notes. So say it's in A,
Yep.
and this modal is kind of what it ends up being called, but it's like she might be playing a C sharp in A and giving it a major sound, but I'm playing A minor pretty much on the guitar, and it's like that thing where she's
Yeah.
hinting at the major, but
Yeah.
it's really like minor, but it's
Yeah.
like who's to say?
I mean, in a way, you can do that on guitar with bending notes. Like,
Yeah.
like there's a lot of play between major and minor that I've, 2 a.m. with the loop station. I'm starting to be
Yeah.
like, whoa, there's something here.
Right? And like I was saying before, like blues music is
Yeah.
incorporates that so much.
Yep, a lot of sliding up and down, and
Yeah, some of my favorite old, like Eli was just saying, some of my favorite old time tunes are these tunes that are like, you call them modal because it's just like a broad term of like, okay, is it maybe minor? Is it maybe something else? Maybe major.
Maybe just
These
don't
tunes
play
where
the
you take
third.
the third and like as the fiddle player, I get to like play it either way or in between. And I just make Eli not play the third of the chord.
Yeah, and it adds
You gotta
that-
So
signal
that's
for
some
that,
of
just
like my
like-
favorite.
yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Did you guys ever have like disagreements about who got to play the fiddle or the guitar when you were younger kids, or did it always mesh perfectly?
It's actually one of the things we did not disagree on.
That's so cool.
Eli
One of the
never
few
learned how to play
things-
the fiddle,
No.
so
But it was always a little much. Our uncle played the guitar. I think we were content doing different things.
the fiddle is kind of fucked up. The violin, it's not like such a friendly instrument, I would say. I mean, if you
Maybe it
have
was
learned
just-
how to play it already, it is.
I mean, it's
Right.
brutal when you're learning.
yes,
Like-
it
Brutal.
sounds
Yeah.
terrible.
Yep.
Yeah, it sounds like a cat dying.
Let's get into the
I mean-
nitty gritty here. I'm wondering. Let's set the record straight. What's the difference between a fiddle and a violin?
Fiddle has strings. A violin has strings. No, they're the same. It's just the way you play it. It's what you play on it.
And so then people recognize, oh, she's playing the fiddle versus she's playing the violin.
It's almost like
This is a violin
Like-
or a fiddle.
there's
Yeah.
fiddle music and there's violin
Yeah.
music. So almost genre wise.
It is, yeah, it's
Yeah.
like genres. I
Okay.
think violin is like classical. Like if you're playing like Bach or something, you're gonna be like, oh yeah,
So
that's
Can
the
you fiddle?
violin.
Can you add the fiddle twang to the Bach?
Yeah, I would say so.
We did a good bit of Bach playing
Yeah.
growing up. That was a big part of our study. It's actually on our first record I think we ever put out.
yep.
One of the Bach duets.
Yeah,
So
love Bach.
So just
Nice.
kind of from my ignorant perspective between the two styles, it seems like classical. Like, do you even have different hand positioning? Because there seems like a lot more like vibrato with classical, whereas it's more like sliding with bluegrass. Is that a good
Yeah,
kind of thought on that?
stylistic differences for sure.
Is there different hand positioning?
So I would say classical music on violin is just so demanding that you have to like,
You gotta
you
keep a
have to be
straight back.
doing everything at like utmost efficiency,
Yeah.
right? There's
Yeah.
no room for relaxation. But you know, it's
Yeah.
like fiddle music and old time and stuff. It's like
You can be half a drink
part
in.
of it, yeah, and part of that
Half
it does
asleep.
come from this culture of like people just hang out and play music and pass it down through their families.
Yeah.
So like, you know, you're not standing up straight being disciplined. You're having fun with like, you know, the people around you and, you know, whatever's going on, you're slouching in your chair,
Yeah.
you're maybe tired.
I would say
like-
something funny to me is like coming into the mountain music thing is like, as small as it may seem, I'd never seen anybody play a fiddle like with the back of it against like their stomach or their arm instead of up here. And like seeing guys at, or you know, gals or whatever at Galax and the festivals just playing like this, and it's like down here and they're just like
and just like shredding.
Yeah.
I was like,
Like-
shit, that's
They're on hour 6 of playing over.
Yeah, and I think also like classical music is, you know, more of like a prestigious and like there's a discipline to it that's taught. And all this, you know, Appalachian old time fiddle music comes from a class of people that's very different, right? It's like these people were not getting lessons. They were learning from their grandpa or their dad or, you know, whoever in their family, and it was passed down that way. And people were not, you know, teaching technique. Like
necessarily-
classical is about that kind of study of like
Technique, yeah.
technique and all that.
Yeah, which
Method.
both approaches are beautiful.
Yeah.
In like the pursuit of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Totally.
I agree. And I did both growing up, so yeah.
Yeah, it was cool to have both those things. I
So
think
what about with mandolin? Is there the same kind of genre split between a mandolin much?
it seems a little more like straight down to me anyways. I mean,
Yeah.
like Monroe style mandolin, for example, is kind of the more like traditional bluegrass mandolin.
Yep.
And then you have some really niche, like you can find some recordings of mandolin and old time music, which was not so common or traditional. And that's kind of very different from the like Monroe style you hear.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't really, I mean, when you play like Bach or like I played some Corelli, like different Beethoven, different classical stuff. I think David Grisman's a great example of like really blending all those things into like, it's dog music. He's got his own name for it. It's like, it's his thing. And
I haven't heard that term before.
dog music,
Yeah,
like
is it-
DAWG.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
totally.
good.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of those records we had, what's the kid's record he has like growing up, and we would hear that.
Oh, yeah, it's like the David Grisman and Jerry Garcia.
Not just for kids or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so David Grisman and Jerry Garcia, and also the pizza tapes with Tony
Yeah,
Rice
pizza
added in
tapes.
there is like, yeah, a lot of blending of styles. And I think though for mandolin, it's not as obvious, like stylistically different. I was kind of doing a bit of classical music, a bit of bluegrass music, and then getting into old time music a little like later into high school anyways. Even though it was all around us, the bluegrass music seemed to be what kids were playing, and that was exciting for me anyways. It was like everyone playing old time music was like way older than me, way
Yeah,
older.
that's true.
And we went to Galax Fiddlers Convention, and there was a lot of youth bluegrass music, and so
Yeah.
kind of pursued that. And then going to Clifftop Appalachian String Band Festival, I started to get into old time music more. And now I feel like there's more of both in younger and older. So
Yeah.
So they say that Floyd, Virginia is like one of the birthplaces, if not the birthplace of bluegrass. Like I've heard that statement said.
Yeah, it's one of them for sure.
So what do you know what the history of that is? Like what was the birthplace? What was the moment of inception for the bluegrass?
It's a good question.
Well, yeah.
The country store, though, probably.
High Lonesome Sound, man.
That High Lonesome Sound. Yeah.
I mean, I think all this music, like from the Appalachian region in general, like that's where it's all been born and kind of.
So Floyd, and then down
Yeah.
the road you've got Galax and
Yeah.
Freeze and all these small towns. Floyd doesn't, but all these small towns in Appalachia have fiddlers conventions that have been going on for 50 plus years. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, Galax is on its like,
almost 90.
yeah, almost 90th year that it's been happening. So,
I mean, Appalachian people are tough people.
yeah,
It's
man.
always struck me as like music born from tough lives,
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Like,
hard lives.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think that it was, just what people did for like joy too,
Mhm. I
and
mean-
it was their like pleasure. So,
Seems like lots
Yeah,
of
it's
stories
about
are being
gathering.
told too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
storytelling. That's an interesting aspect to it, especially as the radio started coming along. Bluegrass music. Bill Monroe is considered the father of bluegrass music, and he's from Kentucky. But it was happening all in this region, I guess. And really, though, with the radio, it was like no longer. I mean, old time music is dance music, right? So
Yeah.
people played it and got together to dance and kind of like have their own thing happen. And then when the radio started coming about, it doesn't translate quite the same. Just playing instrumental music like coming through a speaker.
yeah.
And the storytelling and instrumental aspect, I feel like, really meet at that point. And so the radio is a voice to share stories and through music as well, and bluegrass music, I guess. There you go.
What was some of the early bluegrass songs that just like hooked line and sinker? I want to keep playing this because you started young, so there must have been a lot. It might be hard to find
It's a good
that, but
question.
like, what gets you, as a young kid going? Is it the more modern stuff of the era, like the Jerry Garcia stuff you were talking about, or is it
just nasty
deep
riffs?
just deep, rooted old stories that keep getting retold through music? And
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when I was little, it was definitely like, damn, I want to play that really hard fiddle tune. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And like, I play a lot more old time now, but I did grow up playing a lot of bluegrass. And yeah, I'm trying to think of people that I really looked up to when I was younger.
I mean, like
but-
Nickel Creek was always a huge
Yeah, we loved Nickel
inspiration.
Creek. That was definitely,
Oh, man.
for sure.
Talking about bands, I went hard, like deep into Nickel Creek. Like,
Yeah.
I know every
Yeah.
song.
Totally. Yeah, we
Same.
play those records a lot. And then, I mean, just in that, like, obsession with people. Aila loved Lake Street
Lake
Dive.
Street Dive
We got to-
obsession. Yeah, when I was like 11. Well, okay, I'm trying to remember. I think when I was 11, somebody sent me the video, of the Boston sidewalk, whatever.
covering the...
Yeah, covering I Want You Back, Jackson 5. But then I saw them at FloydFest when I was like 11, and the obsession went deep after that.
full tilt.
Yeah, I mean, that's coming back to FloydFest again, just like
Yeah.
being able to see bands like that before they were really huge,
Yeah.
in some smaller environments. Like, I don't think we got to see Nickel Creek there, but definitely Chris Thiele. And,
Yeah.
I mean, I remember Sam Bush and
Mm-hmm.
David Grisman. I got to meet David Grisman when I was young there.
Yeah, and FloydFest is also where we met like our most kind of life-altering like musical mentors and stuff, like Nick Falk, who we've been talking about, and Nate Leith, who's a crazy fiddle player, and it was all kind of at the workshop porch stage at FloydFest that happened. Had a good buddy, we have a good buddy, John Lohman. but when we were kids, he introduced us to just all these people, and he was running the stage. He's like a Virginia folklorist. So, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, and like Danny Nicely, he's a big one who we met at that time at FloydFest on the little stage. And, you know, I was probably like 8 or 9, and they were getting us up on stage to play with them. So, yeah.
Yeah. So this path for you guys is something that's really deep.
Yeah.
Music is, there's no doubt that you guys are musicians. It's like in your hearts and souls. You've been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
And it's just like second nature.
Yeah, I think, it's a very different way to grow up than a lot of people. And I feel like I've talked with Max about this too, because he came into it a little bit like later than me and Eli, but it's almost like I have a hard time seeing it as like, oh yeah, I'm like a creative person or something.
Right.
Just because I've like always done it.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, okay, yeah, it's like, that's just what I've been doing.
Yeah, like what's the big deal? This is just what I do.
I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. It's like, I can't imagine having gone to school for, I don't know, you know.
Yeah.
Well,
Logistics.
Yeah.
Yes.
Economy. Business.
I picked up music later in life, but I was
Yeah.
homeschooled too. And it's amazing how much you can, you know, if you have parents that are supporting you with it, you can learn everything you need to progress in school
Yeah.
in, you know, a fraction of the time. And then you've
Yeah.
got the rest of the day to like learn stuff and dig in. And music is like such a life building experience. I mean,
Yeah.
you can expand that into like all these different parallels and understanding of life and difficulty and pursuing something and practicing and the reward of it.
Totally.
Yeah.
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 Homeschooling's not for everybody, but the people that it lines up for, it's awesome.
Shit, it worked great for me.
I mean, we were lucky to have like all sorts of other people in Floyd that were homeschooling or and people that went to school too. Is like we always had lots of community, I guess.
Like
Yeah.
crossover with
Floyd's
the music
got a
community.
strong homeschool community, which is awesome.
Yeah. I feel like the good like family life thing really helps the homeschooling vibes,
totally.
you know.
Yeah.
'Cause if that's messed up, then
Yeah.
homeschooling's not
It's-
going to be very fun.
That's why I was doing a little careful. Like it's not for everybody, but for those that it is, it's cool.
For sure.
Totally.
So did your parents influence your musicality and your journey? Like when you were young, did they put the music into your hands, like little guitars or mandolins, or was it your idea?
Well, I can actually remember for some reason, I mean, I don't know if this is exactly how it started, but I can remember being, you know, the age around when we just started, and I was just in the car or something with Eli and my mom, and I was like, I want to play the fiddle. And then I feel like it really just, from my memory anyways, like went from there. And our parents were always just really, really supportive, and my mom, you know, helped us practice, and she actually picked up violin when I did and kind of learned it with me for a long time.
That's awesome.
So yeah, they were just always very supportive. And I think, you know, we grew up, especially from my dad, just like listening to great music, like 70s music and like Stevie Ray Vaughan and the Beatles and Jimi Hendrix and all that kind of stuff. So
Rock
that was
on.
definitely there for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
So they had good taste and they were encouraging
Yeah, encouraging,
what you
supportive.
guys
Yeah.
wanted.
Totally.
Yeah, and they wanted to homeschool and kind of do things differently anyways. So I think when something came up that we could like focus on,
Mm-hmm.
I would guess that it probably just made sense for them. So
Right.
sense for
Yeah.
everybody.
It's good to find what you like at a young age and
Yeah.
focus on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely gave us like something to like put our energy into. That was always rewarding.
Yeah, being homeschooled in Floyd, I've had a lot of friends that have been just dying to get away and, you know, go to the big city and anything but this. But music kind of anchored me. Like I always had something to keep me busy.
Yeah.
So I fantasized about moving away and I got tastes of it, but I've always had something here through music to just kind of anchor it.
Mm-hmm.
And Floyd has such an incredible music scene for a small town.
Yeah.
It's definitely special that way.
Yeah, but the rest of it's horrible, so don't move here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but that was like, I think that gave us a lot to work with in finding music as kids. It's just like
Yeah.
FloydFest, the Fiddlers Conventions, the Country Store. So
Yeah, and it was definitely always like a very anchoring thing growing up and through teenage years and stuff, you know. Small town teenage social life can be a pretty weird thing. Don't need to get too far into it. But
Say
yeah,
less.
it can be pretty dark for some people, and I think having something that we really cared about definitely kept us like motivated and driven, and
Yeah, an avenue for output.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, totally.
I think that's a beautiful thing with the homeschool note. Just like people get the chance to find out what their kids like and then feed that. Whereas in school, it's you can still feed, give your kids what they want and feed their interests, but there are limitations and structures that they have to go through. That I think muddy the waters of the choices that you need to make. Like being able to just figure out what you love at such a young age, and get the chance to really learn about it and study it and fall deeper in love with it is a pretty big positive for the homeschool nation. I don't know. I mean, I think
No, totally.
We get a lot of hate, you know?
yeah,
That's true.
well, there's some bad representatives out there, but
I've had people come up to me and be like, "Oh, you were homeschooled? How do you have social skills?"
yeah,
How are you not so weird?
Yeah, I'm like, "Thanks, yo."
Well, I happen to know your parents, and they're very awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks. Definitely.
I haven't seen them in a while, but
Yeah.
I've always seen them supporting you, and it seems like not pressuring, but just always like open doors. Like, hey,
Yeah.
if you want to pursue this, go for it.
I think
Yeah.
they always kept a really, and I'm thankful for this, but kept a very good balance between like support, but there was never any like stage parent vibes. Like
Yeah.
I knew a lot of
You're
other
gonna- you
kids
have
in the
to do
music
this.
scene that had parents that were really like just
Yeah.
intense,
A little overbearing. so-
overbearing, super overbearing.
We had the
Yeah.
freedom to, it was still our thing, and
Yeah.
it wasn't
Yeah.
pushed upon us, but it
Well,
was,
and-
it's
You guys, I'm sure there's been ups and downs, but music is a tricky one. You love it, and then sometimes you hate it.
Yeah.
And you need a break from it, and that break is really important.
for sure.
That's what I've kind of come to. Is sometimes when I've needed the break, coming back to it feels fresh and clean. Without the break, if there's too much pressure, too much continuation, it's kind of intense.
you kind of get
Yeah.
stuck in
Sure.
something, and it's like hard to see out of it. Yeah. Sometimes when I take space from stuff, I'm like, I find new artists or just new music that inspires me.
Yeah.
And that I wouldn't have necessarily like thought of before, or just had I don't know. I get sometimes into something and hard to see out. So
Dan and I don't have too much of a theme with this podcast, but something that always seems to come up is inspiration for getting the new edge and writing new material. Like, do you guys have any tricks that you found works for when you're kind of like, oh, I've done this and I'm ready for something new? How do you like break into that?
yeah. Inspiration's hard to cultivate and create, but sometimes it's elusive. It comes to you, it goes from you, and then you have to kind of just do the work to get to the song. But what are you guys' tricks to just like pushing through that when you don't have it right in front of you? That because obviously, where does music even come from?
Yeah. I don't know. Think about your dreams. Dreams are weird.
Like actual dreams.
Like actual dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess maybe with like writing, like I wouldn't call myself like such an experienced songwriter. I think I've spent a lot of my time in my life like kind of putting that off a little bit. But it's like, I'll listen to like the Beatles or something and like listen to the lyrics and stuff, and I'm like, wow, it's really not that serious. Or just, take inspiration from just like the little random things, or like I just said, like your dreams. Like dreams are, I mean, at least for me, I have like super vivid dreams I have my entire life. like lucid dreams, vivid dreams. Yeah, so I think that's always a cool place to like pull from. But
Yeah.
What would you recommend for someone like me that just has complete darkness and then wakes up?
stop smoking weed before bed.
It's good advice. Sound
Yeah.
advice. Thank you.
Start writing them down whenever you remember them.
Yeah, I
You'll
mean,
start
honestly,
it's a
just like
practice,
it is
I
a
think.
practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you even like when you go to bed, you're like, I'm gonna dream tonight. Like you tell yourself that. That helps me because I come and go with it. But yeah, and then
If
I'm
you say
writing
it
them
out
down.
loud, they say that it actually makes you remember them more.
I think that's actually really good advice. 'Cause
Yeah.
Same thing for me. Like I have a lot of writing blocks, but the few songs that I've been like, oh shit, I actually really like this, came straight from a dream where I woke up just
Yes.
in like terror of like, whoa, and like hair standing up on my leg or on my arms, and like I gotta go and write a song and pick up a guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that just made me think of like this aspect of like I think it's really cool to tap into that kind of like conscious state where you're not fully conscious. Because I've had these times where I'm like falling asleep and I'm like really right about to be asleep, and I'll like
when
think
your
of
walls are down.
think of lyrics and
Yeah.
songs and stuff, and of course I won't like wake up and write them down.
Yeah.
But I'll like be like, man, I can't remember that, but I think that those were like the best lyrics I've ever thought of.
I've
They
done
were
it
just
before
for
where
you.
You write a song in your sleep and you're like,
Yes.
that was amazing. And then the next day you're like, I don't know. if that
Where
was
did I write
real.
that
Yeah,
down?
exactly.
Yeah.
Apparently, I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but I want to say Plato or Socrates. This is really heady. Something like that. One of them, some guy had this crazy sleep schedule where he would sleep like it would be every 3 hours, he'd be awake 3 hours, like some philosopher, then sleep 3 hours, awake 3 hours, because of that like in between sleep and awake.
He would
like,
actually
space
be like
because it-
inducing that hallucination.
Yeah, like it was
Yes.
something about like because it amplified that.
Getting in touch with the source or
space and-
something.
I don't remember where I heard that, but
Dude, I mean,
Yeah.
that's
I always remembered it because I was like, damn, man.
that's going for it.
Yeah, and I
that's
feel
I gotta
like,
dedication.
set 10 alarms today.
but I do feel
Exactly.
like when the best like inspiration comes, or whatever you want to call it, best like creativity or creative energy is not when you're like overly thinking about stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, for some people that's easier or harder. Some people are more like tapped into that than others. But yeah, I feel like when you have your like guard, like your sensory kind of guards down, I think that stuff comes easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a bit of a policeman in their head of like, oh, don't go too far. Don't think about
Yeah,
that.
because you're conscious and
Right.
you have like inhibitions and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are some of your tricks for
I mean-
getting your guard down?
Honestly, some of the songs that some of my favorites, and I've been writing since, but like during the pandemic, when COVID happened, we were in Boston, and we came home to Virginia because it's a small town. I mean, it's a really nice place to be when there was nothing going on because, especially during the summer, I think it was summer 2020, I wrote at least a couple of the songs that are on our new record. And part of it was just like this thing in this time that I never experienced, and we started writing together too, and it was just like, oh, now we have literally nothing going on.
Yeah.
And it was kind of scary too, or just like what's gonna happen. We don't have anything going on. We had tours planned, and we had all sorts of life stuff planned. Aila had just started college, so it was just like a really, really crazy time. And we had a really beautiful place to be, and it brought some songs out that we recorded, and they're still some of my favorite songs I've wrote.
Nice.
And yeah, I mean, that's kind of like a specific instance, I
You
think.
don't always know. It's not always going to come out of this perfect place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like more recently, it's kind of habitual for me, like writing frequently, and something comes out here and there, but
Yeah.
the repetition of it, I think, helps me.
I think like going back to like what I was saying earlier about like, sometimes I'll listen to the Beatles and listen to their lyrics, and it's just like you don't always have to be like taking yourself so seriously with it, I think. And like there's so many things that go into like a good song, and like I'm by no means the expert in like a good song either, but it's like most of the time if it's like authentic to, you know, who you are or how you feel, doesn't, you know, and you have like the means to like execute that, I guess. I'm all speaking from that point. It doesn't, you don't have to be so worried about like how it's going to come out or whatever. I mean, like some of my favorite songs, the lyrics like make no sense.
Yeah,
Right.
Or they make sense in a really weird way. That
What do you
is,
think
like,
people are
not
worried
serious.
about? What do you think people struggling to like express themselves are worried about?
The classic is always what other people are going to think about.
Am I good enough?
Yeah.
Is it, I think I'm always trying to overcomplicate songs.
Yeah. That's a huge thing.
Like one of my favorites I've wrote, it was like always just this cool idea I had. And I was like, yeah, like someday I'm like, I got to turn that into a song. And then when we were recording the record and we needed, original stuff, I was like, well, I have this idea. And I think honestly, Nick he was like, dude, he was like, that's perfect. Like, just do that again. And like, it was like, we made it a song without it having to be this like huge thing. It was just like this little idea. And, I think just like not getting too worried about the complexity of it. It's like, simple is good.
I mean, that's the crazy art of songwriting, is like writing a song that's good and simple.
Yeah, totally.
It's
Some
easy
of my
to make
favorite
something
songs,
complicated.
just like the Beatles, it's like you can let it be complex, but it needs to appear simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be complex either. I've been through that where I've held off on a song for years because it has to be this awesome thing.
Yeah.
And then when I do finally release it, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I could have done it a lot easier. And,
Right.
if I had thought about this aspect of it, it would have been better in its simplicity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you always think about stuff afterwards too, like, oh, it's kind of cool recording stuff because it's like a little stamp in time. It's like stuff evolves so much as you play it, and especially as you play it live and stuff. So
Yeah, I feel like there's some quote that like Max has said to me before, but it's like anybody can like overcomplicate, like write some super overcomplicated song. And like it takes something really special to like write something that's like really simple and true. I don't know what the quote is.
It might have
Exactly,
been
but-
Plato or Socrates.
Yeah, it could've been Socrates.
Max Hollenbeck.
Socrates says that
Plato or
happy
Socrates.
spine is
I'm
key
not gonna
to a
tell
happy
you.
life.
It's mysterious.
And I mean, like you were saying too, some of that is just music translating the simplicity. It might not actually be simple. Like when you get into it, like Santana, like you were saying, or like I've been guitar wise studying a lot of Allman Brothers stuff. It's like they're just jamming, but when you start to try to learn some of that stuff, it's like, man, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
I'm starting to have a lot of appreciation for that. Just like palatable and feels nice and nice. There's a lot of, say what you will about pop music, but there's a lot of pop music that's actually
It's
very
hard,
intricate.
yeah.
And you can
Oh,
just
yeah.
tell the musicians are top notch, but it is so palatable that it just
man.
goes down
Yeah.
like nothing.
Thriller stuff like that.
Like
It's
Michael
like
Jackson?
it's
Oh, man.
crazy.
Yeah.
Can I get a?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think I feel like this would always come up in like Berklee classes or maybe, but it's like thinking about music as a means of communication with your audience, you know?
Yeah, that was actually something a teacher, Greg List, told me. Like,
Yeah.
think about translating, communicating what you're playing to your audience opposed to performing. And like that was almost like a switch in my head that just changed the way I thought about performance and playing music for people, like ever since. So
Boil that down a little bit. What do you think that means a little? Communicating versus performing.
I mean, I think it is similar to like talking, I think, like having a conversation with somebody, but it's like, to me, it goes back to the same thing of like, music for musicians versus like music, for the people who are enjoying your music, whether they're musicians or not. But, I feel like, you could be trying to communicate a million different things in your song, in your music, or whatever. You know, whether it's a feeling or a story, but it's just more the perspective of like, okay, is somebody who is not in my shoes, are they gonna understand this or not?
Or feel something from
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
I mean, for me, it was kind of just getting out of my head about it. It's like, it's not some big, huge performance, or like, this isn't like it's not going to make or break anything right now. I think the important thing is like, what does that person who's listening feel from it? And so
Yeah.
just like translating a feeling, you put that into your music, and I think that's just like recepted by the audience in a different way than maybe like, oh, I'm playing this really complex thing and like it's going to be so great. And I don't know, I would just get in my head about like making it perfect or making it doing the piece justice or the song, when it's like putting that feeling into it, thinking about your audience really just changed it for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And in a way, it's less about the self, like you as the performer,
Yeah.
but it's more about
The audience.
the audience and the community of
Yeah.
what's happening.
Yeah, totally.
Exactly.
And the music and the room. I mean, yeah, just kind of getting out of your head about it.
Yeah. That's what I enjoy about, I mean, there's so many different types of musics that convey different types of feelings. For me, expressing that through getting the audience to dance and kind of respond to it, that's always been it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love some audience participation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's like why people, you know, like music or need music too, is because it's like a very shared experience that you don't necessarily get, that you can't get necessarily in like a lot of other ways, and that's what makes it such like a cultural need or something. I don't know.
And it can be so personal, yet
Yeah.
it's you know, 1,000 people can stand in the same room and, you know, have personal feelings about it, but it's like a shared thing that
Yeah.
Well, music's always been so intimate. Like whether you're listening to an album on headphones, it's like an intimate experience. And then especially when it's live, like I don't think that's ever going to be replaced. We had a podcast recently about AI and, you know, how that takes, and I have the strong feeling of the wooden instrument in a pair of hands in a room with you. That's not going to go away. That's
No.
I'll wait until I show you the songs we made with AI, though. They're pretty funny.
it's true. That live, that human to human thing is just like,
Yeah.
there's something there.
there's something
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Definitely.
I feel confident. We can listen though. I mean, we can
No, I'll
give
throw
it a
it.
run
It's
for
in the
money.
trash already. I threw it away. You guys hate it.
Well, with that said, we got you guys all set up. We got
Yeah.
a killer Palooza mic package, and is there any shout outs or anything you want to add in before we bring up some instruments and take a break?
You gonna be playing some
Good.
songs off the new record, or
Yeah, shout out our new record that's not out yet.
This year it's
This year
coming
it'll
out.
come out.
Nice.
Yeah.
More on that later.
More on that later.
Nice.
And,
Stay
yeah, I mean,
tuned.
just thanks for having us. This is really cool.
And you guys are on Facebook, Instagram, all the
Yeah.
channels.
Yeah.
the Wildmans.
Instagram, the Wildmans.
You can
Check it
find
out.
us out there.
YouTube?
Yeah,
I'm sure
YouTube. We got a
Yeah,
mailing
like
list.
one or two videos.
we can fix that.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. You guys want to play some songs?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd love to.
Cool.
Let's do it.
Sometimes you don't feel it. Just let it pass you by. Sometimes you don't feel it. sometimes, but you don't see it. Just let it pass you by. Sometimes you won't see it. Just let it pass you by. Longtime friend, back again. You don't know where you last saw them. Looking back, you might remember what you said